folks, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and just someone whose job it is to bring to you all the best brain body tools from all the different fields of related to health, performance sciences, connect this to neuroscience, and bring to you the most awesome, practical, useful tools that you can use to improve everything in your life. Because folks, as I like to repeat, it's all in the brain. Everything that we do, we feel, we experience, it goes through our brain and defines the quality of our life. That's why preventing cognitive decline, for example, it should be one of the top goals of everyone. Because once you lose your brain, you have no life. Nothing. You cannot sense anything, hear anything, say anything, feel anything, even take care of yourself. That's why, really take care of your nutrition, your exercise, your lifestyle, and your stress management, because that will define the quality of your life as life goes along and it's later and later in our life. So, brain damage accumulates over the course of our lives, and we are all declining mentally and cognitively, but you can slow it down and it's all in your hands. And you might be one of these people, if you take good care of your brain, that dies and doesn't even notice that their brain declined. So that being said, folks, today and this week is about stress, mostly stress, anxiety, all the good things, right? And then also nutrition. On Friday, we're going to have finally our guest, our PhD of nutrition, who I wanted to introduce to you for so many weeks, but needed to put a little bit more work into that podcast. So, folks, today we're talking about the positive benefits of stress, how to make stress positive, how to use it in your life to amplify the good and to create more of the good and to not harm your health and your brain. Did you know, folks, that the state of stress, actually, number one, if not entirely, then to a big extent shuts down your prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that is the newest, the youngest, that we humans develop as no other animal. This is the thinking, the logical, the conscious part of our brain. So stress is very not good for it. When we accumulate stress in our body, especially chronic stress, a lot of it, we don't manage it. What happens is, what neuroscientists say, is it overloads our nervous system, and there is kind of like a switch. Once that happens, what starts ruling your life is not your logical part of the brain that makes decisions, but other parts of your brain that are instinctual, emotional, that are fast acting, that perpetuate the same cycles, responses, habits. They are great to manage stressful situation really fast, but if they are on all the time and your logical brain doesn't have the opportunity to have a say to interfere, you're kind of going to be always repeating the same cycles, mistakes, habits, never really analyzing what's happening in your life, why it's happening, making better decisions. Your life going to be on that autopilot. And for a lot of people, that's actually true, because most of us never learned how to manage stress in school, in high school, in university. Actually, most adults never learn stress management techniques, and that's why we keep perpetuating certain cycles that don't work, that we got from our childhood, adolescent. But because we are always in that stress state, we just keep repeating it without, analyzing and rewiring our brain to respond instead of reacting. But then being said, understand that your most precious part of the brain that is creative, that comes up with the best ideas, connects the dots, that has the capacity to create breakthroughs, it is not on until you start managing your stress. Stress also actually a good thing. Like, imagine if you were under a very stressful situation. Imagine, the best, I think, example is hunter-gatherer's time. And there is a lion somewhere hiding and ready to chase and kill and eat you. And your instinctual brain feels that, right? And there is this anxiety and stress response right away, and you act right away. So your logical brain doesn't have a say in that, and it's a good thing because it's a slower part of the brain. So you react, you save your life, and you continue living, right? That's why they overtake the logical brain, because it's slower. Now, in our lives, that doesn't happen. So in most scenarios in our lives, although this situation happens, of course, it's in our best interest to have our logical brain on board and make decisions. But then still, what is stress for, right? Originally, well, as I just created a scenario for you, described a scenario for you, stress is for mobilizing our resources to deal with potentially life-threatening stressor really, really fast. So what happens when we are stressed is that all of our systems, our nervous systems, is switched on into flight and fight response, and all of our systems, from our brain to our digestion to our cells, take care of the processes that are needed to fight, flight, create a lot of energy so you can move, you can eliminate the stressor as fast as possible, so you survive, right? So it's the opposite of rest and digest system, and also procreate. So for example, when you don't manage stress and you are always in this, tensed and ready to fight state, your muscles, there is more oxygen and blood delivered to your muscles, so you're ready to fight and flight and run. There's also a lot more resources of your cells going to create that energy to help you mobilize as much energy as possible to take action. Also, cortisol is upregulated, so there is more blood sugar available immediately for you to again take action, run, defend yourself. But if that's something that is happening all the time, what gets downregulated are systems like your digestion, because when you fight or flight, it is not time to absorb nutrients and digest. Those are opposite systems: fight or flight, rest and digest, right? So blood literally goes out of your digestive system, your system for procreation, your sexual organs, and all of that goes to your muscles and limbs again, so you're ready to act. The cells do not distribute energy in a way that is beneficial to, again, your procreation and your sexual hormones and systems. It's not the time to procreate. Another thing that happens is that processes in your cells that are in charge for longevity, for example, repairing your DNA so you last longer, and there are less mistakes when replicating your genetic code every time we create a new cell. That's happening all the time, right? So these systems are downregulated. All of your resources go to immediate survival. And very often that immediate survival is not great for your long term, for your longevity. I don't know what that sound was, but it's funny. Never heard this sound in my apartment. So back to stress. Folks, so what happens is when this energy goes again to flight or fight response, you don't get energy for your longevity, for your reproductive system, for your digestion, your prefrontal cortex, your logical part of the brain gets shut down, and you're just acting in this reactive mode, and you are reacting, not responding. And imagine, also, if you were to clench your fists all the time. Some people actually do it for prolonged periods of time throughout their day, or tense your shoulders. It's additional energy going to do that. It's additional energy wasted. And this energy doesn't go to things like logical thinking or creativity or coming up with ideas, or at the end of the day, you're going to accumulate a lot more fatigue and burnout. Remember, on a few episodes back, we talked about how it's not about how energy you have, it's how you use it and how you focus it, right? So if you're wasting that energy on managing that stress and clenching your fist, so to speak, you have less and less available for your longevity, for your mental work, and for a lot of other things. You just have less energy for life because you're spending more for stress. So that being said, folks, I always like to focus on the practical side of things. So now you understand what stress is, how it serves you in certain situations, and how it it does you a disservice in now our modern environment when we are not actually running away from lions all the time. By the way, folks, all this information that I'm giving you, I'm getting through from resources like Andrew Huberman's podcast, our favorite neuroscientist from Stanford, also the book by one of his guests that he recently had. The name of the book is A Stress Prescription. It's, how to address stress so it benefits us and it doesn't overwhelms our life and our brain. It doesn't waste additional resources that could be put into longevity or thinking. And anxiety book that is written by Wendy Suzuki. Andrew Huberman also had this neuroscientist on his podcast. She's from New York, has her own lab. So a lot of this information are from these resources and more that I read from different articles. So now, again, we understand what stress is, what it does, how it can harm our life, our longevity. Now, the most amazing part about stress research and all kinds of anxiety, mindfulness research is that we can actually, the stress influences our mind, how we think, what we feel, but also the opposite is true. Our mind, how we think, how we consciously choose our thoughts actually influences the way the stress affects our body. It's, mind over body or body over mind. It's kind of both ways. That's what science shows to us right now. And so on Andrew Huberman's podcast, his guest, forgive me, I don't remember her name, but probably on Wednesday, I'm going to mention her to you. So this guest, she mentioned this attitude, lions or gazelles. So imagine this scenario. A lion is chasing a gazelle. Lion is under a condition of stress, but he is about to have dinner. So his stress mobilized to get the reward. Now imagine Gazelle. She's also very stressed and she is fighting for her life. And that's the kind of difference in the attitude that we should understand we have. This choice between, are you a lion? Do you interpret your stress as something that's going to make you stronger, that's going to mobilize your resources and help you to deal with whatever is on your plate today, right now? Or do you feel like do you choose to feel like a gazelle? Like it affects you, it's put on you, you don't have a say in it, and you are a victim. And believe it or not, folks, there have been research and actual human studies that show that changes everything. This lions or gazelle mindset changes absolutely everything. Whether your body gets stronger and you learn a lot from that, and then you recover much faster, and psychologically you don't experience any sorts of post-traumatic disorder or any sorts of trauma. What you experience, even to the point of your blood pressure and your blood sugar regulation, it changes based on how you feel. Do you feel like a lion? You're after your reward. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you healthy. It's going to make you more resilient. Or do you feel like a gazelle? Like it's killing you, making you weaker. And if, you don't have a say in it. Remember that is very important. And you can choose the thought pattern and how you relate to that specific stressful situation. Are you a lion or are you a gazelle? And that, again, going to change everything from your blood pressure to your blood sugar regulation to your cortisol to how fast you recover from this stress. Just remember this. Lions or gazelle attitude changes everything. But then again, we need to be able to get better at actually managing this stress state and help our body, our brain to, especially if this stress response is not needed, it just, something happened and you're triggered and you have this stress response, but it's not actually needed. Nothing super challenging is happening. It just, on the surface seems like maybe there is a conflict. Maybe somebody told you something at work, maybe your boss or your teammate or, somebody you hired, maybe you had some confrontation and the stress response triggered, but maybe it's not needed and it's in your best interest to be in relaxed state and make a conscious decisions that benefit both sides and create a solution, right? So how do you actually change the stress state fast? On Andrew Huberman's podcast, this neuroscientist, she mentioned that there are 3 ways to deal with stress. It's cognitive talk therapy, kind of like reframing things, saying that, this is leading to something good, this is helping us to find the solution, etc. So you talk to yourself, you change your mindset. The second one is moving. Like if you've been going through a lot of pressure, stress, you need to move your body to literally work through that stress and to eliminate the tension. So moving your body, especially things like Tai Chi, yoga, mindful movement, when you're truly in your body, that helps a lot with releasing that stress physically, and that releases that stress mentally as well. And now the third way to release your stress is changing your environment. So if, for example, in your situation, maybe in your family, maybe at work, you feel like you have a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, maybe take yourself out of the situation for a while. Maybe that's the most beneficial thing for you and the situation, right? Especially beneficial to just go, like, for example, you're in an office and you are under stress and pressure and you feel like, it's too much, then go out there and go for a walk. Walks in nature, not like by a busy city street that actually can add to your street. But if you find somewhere, you can find a park, just piece of nature, that actually helps a lot to release that stress. And the reason is, on the podcast, they also beautifully explain that, is there is no magic like in a park or forest, but your eyes, your brain, all of your systems perceive a lot of signals, like, the trees, the sounds and the forms, the shapes, the blue and green contrast, like all of this together seem to be affecting the brain and seems to be very stress lowering. That's why probably they say that even looking at a beautiful picture of landscape or some natural scene also helps to relieve that stress. Maybe that's why art also helps. So 3 strategies, right? Talk and mindset therapy, or just have the exercises like lions and gazelle, for example. Remember that example. Moving your body, especially mindful types of movement like yoga or Tai Chi. And then we have moving yourself to a different environment, especially natural place. Then when it comes to physical practices, there are also 2 very effective practices that can help you anywhere really fast, that's been studied and they work for you as long as you are a human being. So those 2 practices that relieve stress really fast and switch your body, your brain, your mind into rest and digest state, into a more relaxed state, those are breath work and body scans. I've been hearing a lot about body scans. Like breath work is kind of, we talked a lot about on this podcast about breath work and physiological sigh. So double inhale and then long exhale. They say even 3 times doing that will already help you to completely change your stress state in your body, right? So physiological sigh, Google it. There are many YouTube videos from all over the world. So physiological sigh, that is in studies has been shown to be the most effective way to release your stress. And then also body scans. And the reason why body scan is basically you lay down, you sit down, and you just tune into your body and start feeling every part of your body one by one, like right toe, and then the second toe, the third toe, and then like your heel and your cuff, your ankle, etc., right? Whichever way you choose to move through your body. And scientists think that that's because it helps you to switch from the outside world and its stressors to inside of your body and into your breathing and into your heart rate. And that switch of focus helps to de-stress, because now you are not focused on that stressor and you're not obsessing and thinking and being anxious and worried about that thing outside of you. So that switch of focus helps to deal with stress really, really effectively. Plus, certain kinds of body scans like yoga nidra help your brain to restore and release more of dopamine. That helps you to feel more energized, happy, and ready to go and ready to act. More of an activist mindset, right? So body scans are very, very effective. And let me see. And I think that's about it, what I wanted to tell you about stress that I'm learning as I go with you folks. Now, I'm lucky in a sense that since I was a kid, I think about 13, 14 years old, I saw my dad doing yoga, handstands, and some sort of breath work. And I got curious and I started reading about that. And I started meditating when I was about that age. And I started doing yoga, and I learned about breath work that I've been kind of practicing for some time, but not regularly as I do now, as we have a lot more science and precise tools, and there are explanations like what exactly breath work does to our mind and brain, and how to do it. So I've been engaged in those mindful practices for a while, and that's why I'm very stress resilient. Like in my life right now, sometimes I'm going through situations where I don't know how I literally gonna pay my grocery bill, right? So I've been through these situations quite recently for many different reasons. And surprisingly, I still felt quite calm. Like I couldn't say I was stressed or anxious, and that's because I do these practices daily. And what it allows me to do is it allows me to make good decisions instead of running around like a crazy person, and invest into my business the next steps and solutions that will resolve the situation now, and also will help me to build a road forward into the future that I want to build again, instead of just running around and being in eating because I'm so stressed, or being so tensed and not sleeping. Like, what is that gonna do? It's not gonna solve anything. So I've been lucky that I adopted these practices since very young age, and now that I know how they work, I do them every single day. And especially if there is a situation, I'm like, a partnership collapsed, or I lost my business, or a marketing campaign that I thought would be really great, it just didn't work because of one reason or the other, and my livelihood depended on it, right? Or again, so many things have been happening in my life, and whenever that happens, I take a deep breath, deep breath, actually, physiological side, that's the one that I've been doing since the study show is the most effective, and then breathing out. And I would do this 3-5 times throughout my day, and then before bed as well. And surprisingly, again, even when the situation was really tense and stressful, I would still be okay, sleeping well, eating well, exercising. And of course, exercise does help, as I mentioned, moving your body and releasing that tension. And I make sure to do stretching and foam rolling. All of that helps to physically remove the stress from your body, and then the mind follows. Again, the question is not mind over body or body over mind. They work together. They are connected, and you can influence your body with your mind. And research shows that if you, for example, think that you're drinking a nutritious shake that is full of calories and very delicious, you're going to feel more satiated than if you drink the same drink. They did the studies, but I'll tell you that it's some diet drink, and it's low in calories, etc. You actually going to have different body responses down to blood sugar regulations and your satiety levels to these different drinks. So the mind does affect the body, but also the body does affect the mind. And so if you, for example, very stressed and anxious, but you start breathing like you would breathe if you are calm and peaceful and ready to rest and digest, like, physiological sigh or extended exhales, you will change your mind, and all of a sudden you're going to feel different and you're going to have different thoughts, and you might even see different solutions to the problem you couldn't figure out. Guess what, folks? Also, what I'm learning from neuroscientists is that your brain comes up with the best solutions, ready and able to connect the dots all across the spectrum and come up with the most, sophisticated connections and ideas that you've never even thought about. Your mind, your brain, your prefrontal cortex is capable of doing that only when you are in a state of relaxation. And that's why it's so important to adapt these practices if you're interested in building your best life and also enjoying the one that you have, instead of being stressed for no good reason. Again, being stressed, it might have helped you running away from lions, but in most situations in our real life, it does not help anything. And that's why stress regulation is so important. Now let's go through the main points. Like, stress is designed to mobilize resources to help you act right away, to run away from that lion, right? But it takes resources from your digestion, from your procreation system, your sexual organs, from your prefrontal cortex. It doesn't give energy and resources to your longevity, repairing your DNA, etc. So stress is a very resource and energy demanding. So you're wasting your energy on something that is unnecessary in most situations, in most cases, unless, of course, you have to fight and run away. That sometimes might happen in our life still. The second point is lion's or gazelle's mindset that affects your physiology and how your body recovers and responds to stress. So are you a lion chasing a reward, getting stronger, getting better, learning? Or are you a gazelle, a victim who has to endure those things and you're like in the state of suffering? And that's just a switch. What are you, lions or gazelle? Now, when it comes to stress management and relieving unnecessary stress, to turn on your logical brain and create the best solutions, come up with the best ideas and deal with the situation like a conscious human being, not like an angry beast. So the best strategies are along the line of talk and cognitive talk therapy, basically changing your mindset about your situation, talking to yourself, journaling, etc. The second toolkit, or whole set range of toolkits, is moving your body, especially mindful movements like yoga, tai chi, etc. And then the third one is changing your environment. So get yourself out of this environment, even if it's for a short while, and put yourself ideally in some natural environment, or just change the location. That really helps because you don't experience those stress triggers that were in that environment. And our mind is very responsive to the triggers in our environment. So take yourself out and put yourself into a different environment, especially nature helps. And then two very effective ways to release your stress right now and have less of it, whenever you need it, is breath work, specifically physiological sigh. Look it up 3 times. You're going to change your body and brain immediately. And body scans that done properly, in a proper way, like yoga nidra, for example. Also Google it, will help you to also boost your dopamine and create more of an activist mindset, give you energy for action and motivation, and you're just gonna start enjoying all of a sudden your life more. And the last piece of information, there are 2 ways to deal with stress, folks, in a way that is productive. Either take the problem, the stressor, and address it. So you either, fight it, eliminate it, somehow figure out the solution, or you, if that's not the option, either remove yourself from situation or release it. Like, this is what it is. I'm going to do my best to enjoy my life and do whatever I can in this situation, right? Release it or deal with it. Those are 2 productive ways to go around stress. Just stressing about it and doing nothing about it helps no one nothing, and it changes absolutely nothing. Hope you found this episode to be useful. If you have any questions, please reach out, Angela at Brain Body Coach. Even better, on Instagram, Angela Brain Body Coach. If you liked what you heard and would like to listen to scientists talking about that, then check out Andrew Huberman's podcast that he did last week. There's probably a new episode available right now, so that's going to be the one before last. And pick up the book Stress Prescription. That's the name, Stress Prescription, that I'm going to be also reading as I finished an anxiety book. Now I'm going to be reading Stress Prescription. And folks, stay tuned. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about anxiety and how there are all these different ways to deal with all the different kinds of anxieties to help the anxiety be your ally and help anxiety to create more energy and give you the best ideas and be a spark of creativity. And anxiety can do so many amazing things for us. It's actually designed to mobilize us to find a solution, to pay attention to something that is important, not to harm our health. And that's an amazing book about anxiety written by Wendy Suzuki, a neuroscientist from New York. We're going to be talking about that on Wednesday. So stay tuned, folks. Reach out and please share this podcast. Please share this podcast review so this podcast reaches more people and more people have these tools as they come out of neuroscience labs and other labs. So share. Let's all do better, creating a better world for all of us. We all can do that. So please share. That would mean a lot to me. And enjoy your week. Talk to you very soon.